Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Ms. Lake, your actions as senior advisor are eroding American soft power around the globe. We should not be dismantling the agency that combats propaganda from the Chinese Communist Party, the Kremlin, and Tehran. Especially now, we need to be able to broadcast facts that counter Iranian state-run media spin that is essential to America's long-term interests. Your job is to tell the people of the world the truth about America. And because of that, there's a more fundamental issue I want to address today, and that is character. You see, Ms. Lake, we have both been public figures in Arizona for a long time. I've seen you in action, including your behavior in the last 2 elections. And let me be clear about something. The American people cannot believe a word you say. You ran for governor in Arizona in 2022. You lost fair and square. Instead of conceding, you embarrassed yourself and our state by lying again and again for years, blaming everything under the sun for your loss except for your own toxic politics. You lie about that election to this very day. You lied about signatures on mail-in ballots not matching those on file. Proven wrong. You lied about ballots being intentionally misprinted and then rejected in Republican areas. Total BS. You lied and said hundreds of thousands of ballots were mishandled. Zero evidence. You claimed fake ballots were snuck into batches before they were counted. Come on. You repeated these lies again and again, and you've said even recently, quote, "I am the duly elected governor. They just stole it," unquote. Give me a break. Ms. Lake, your new role requires you to tell the truth. For decades, whenever authoritarians and dictators suppressed the people and claimed victory in fraudulent elections, Voice of America countered those lies. I can't imagine how people fighting for democracy today and around the world can trust someone who has so shamelessly lied about her own election.
Will the gentleman yield to the question?
No, I will not.
Okay,
Ms.
well,
Lake,
just so you know,
to regain a
VOA
semblance of
wanted
your
to not
credibility, I
call
will not
Hamas
yield.
terrorists, so
Ms. Lake,
if we're
to
gonna
regain a
berate the
semblance of
witness,
your
we may as well be
credibility.
factual about the
Are
evidence.
you,
This is the gentleman's time. If you did not yield, you
I
may
do not
continue.
yield, and I'd like the time back. Ms. Lake, to regain a semblance of your credibility, are you finally ready to admit you lost the 2022 Arizona election?
It saddens me that you are from Arizona and you're okay with
That's
the
a
way
yes or no question,
It
Ms.
saddens
Lake.
me that you are from Arizona.
I guess the answer is no. Reclaiming my time.
The gentleman will suspend, will stop the clock. For all present, members are reminded to avoid engaging in personality toward the president and other members. Okay, and this is a member of the administration, so I would caution all to stay on the subjects and stay off of personalities, please. Gentleman may continue.
Yes, and in this case, these are adjudicated lies. Courts of law have determined that these are lies. These are not me saying it. You didn't just lie to the press.
The courts are really awesome
You took
right
those
now.
lies to court and lost again and again. Every one of your lawsuits failed. And a federal judge said that you were furthering false narratives that blamelessly undermine public trust. And you didn't just lie. You were formally sanctioned by the court. Ms. Lake, you have been sanctioned twice for providing false information to courts. Isn't that true? Yes or no?
I was brave enough to fight our shoddy elections, and the courts have not caught up.
That was a yes or no. I guess the answer is no. Let me reclaim my time. You have been sanctioned by both the United States District Court and the Arizona Supreme Court for, quote, making false factual statements to the court. And you were sued for defamation by a Republican election official, Stephen Richer. He and his family were subjected to harassment and even death threats because of those lies. You told your supporters, Richer and fellow Republican County Supervisor Bill Gates, that they, quote, sabotaged Election Day. You accused them of deliberately printing the wrong image on ballots to jam tabulators and injecting hundreds of thousands of phony ballots. What a joke. And here's the thing, Ms. Lake. When it came down to it, you chickened out. You refused to defend those lies in court. You decided to take a default judgment. You are an adjudicated liar and a two-time political
Chairman, I move to
loser
take down
in
those
Arizona.
those
I have
words,
one
please.
final question.
Chairman,
Reclaiming my time.
I'd like
I
to
have one
take
final
down
question.
those
I'm not gonna
words.
yield.
It's
gotta
the
get his
gentleman's
I do not
3
yield.
video.
I have one final question
Get your
for you,
call
fundraising
Ms.
someone
Lake.
a
You have
liar.
a chance
That's
to
not
answer.
how
Let me
you
one
treat
final
other
question.
people that
The
are getting
gentlelady
questions.
will suspend, please. Go ahead, you may
You
continue.
lost for governor in 2022 to Katie Hobbs. You lost even worse to Ruben Gallego for Senate in 2024. Well, Arizona has another election for governor next year. Will you do us all a favor and run it back and run for governor again? I yield.
The gentlelady
No more questions.
Can I
respond. You
respond
may
to some of
respond.
that? Because that was complete insanity. I wish I could yield back the last 5 minutes of my life, actually. And I want to apologize to the people of Arizona that we have somebody who's representing the folks in one of our great parts of the Valley that doesn't care about the integrity of our election. So but you weren't here, you came in late, and we're talking about USAGM today, the Agency for Global Media, and how they can put out absolute abject lies, and we can't control any, we have no say over what the editorial content is, and I would hope that you would not be okay with that. They could literally put out a lie about anybody here, and I know you've been the victim of that. I know you've been the victim. I remember the stories about you where they said you had a gay lover, and those were going out all
Mr.
over.
Chairman.
Can I
I
finish
hope
the
you
story?
honor what you just gave as a caution to everyone, and I moved those words.
To tell you that those kind of lies, and you said
rule
those
if
were
you want.
lies, those kind of lies could be broadcast today on VOA, and you couldn't pick up the phone, Representative Stanton, and call them and say, hey, you're putting out lies about me. You would not be able to do that because they would sue you for breaking the firewall. So lies are being told on Voice of America. It's inappropriate. You've been subjected to lies that you said were lies about you in the media before. And how would you like it if those lies were put on Voice of America right now? Because they could do it, and you couldn't do a thing about it. You couldn't stop it. You couldn't stop all those lies that you said were said about you if they went on Voice of America today. You'd have to sit and take it.
Okay, I thank the gentlelady, and I appreciate the dialogue. Ruling on the member, she was responding, and I thought rather complimentary that in fact those were untrue, and she was defending that. So
That's what he says.
I'll leave it as that. If I think Mr. Stanton would agree that those were untrue statements, and she said so. I will now recognize myself for 5 minutes.
Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
I apologize. I wasn't concerned at all what you were saying. My concern is that the leader of this agency, which is supposed to disseminate truth about the United States, is an adjudicated liar. That's not an exaggeration. That's not.
Okay, the gentleman made that point quite clearly.
Said that, and
Mr.
that's why I brought it
Chairman.
up.
Recognizing myself for
Mr.
5
Chairman,
minutes. the
unanimous
gentleman-
consent. Twice so far, the chair, prior to you, had said there was no documentation for requests of
Does the
meetings. So
gentleman
I'd like
want to submit
unanimous
something?
consent that these be placed in the record. These are requests for meetings that have not been answered. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Could I see the date on those? I mean, were the
Okay, we'll be able to make
Okay.
the record complete, and you'll be allowed to give the other half of these emails. For the record, we agree, for unanimous consent, that these emails be entered and considered factual with the recognition that they be verified